K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com. K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. We never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can. We're Americans.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show on K98 Talk. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening, friends. I was going to start my show with a little bit of a different story, but something came across the wire about an hour ago that I think bears a little bit of mentioning. And I just can't help but be a little pissed off about it. Because this is not, I repeat, not the military that I'm used to. Records have now been broken that Bradley Manning, you remember this guy, this is the WikiLeaks guy, who is, he's an inmate now in the Army prison. They locked him up actually at Leavenworth, and they've now approved Bradley, who, remember, decided he wasn't a guy anymore. He's now a girl and goes by the name of Chelsea Manning. Kind of like a Chaz Bono thing in reverse here. But the Army has decided to give this freaking moron hormone therapy to help him transition into a woman while he's in prison at Leavenworth. Now, Manning's attorneys, and I'm just, I got to tell you, this just, I can't say it just makes me sick because of who or what he is or she is or it is. I don't really care about that part of it. What I care about is that the United States government is using our tax dollars to make this happen. And that's what turns my stomach. If Bradley or Chelsea Manning wants to be a boy or a girl that thinks she's a boy or a boy that thinks she's a girl, I don't give a damn. What I do give a damn about is having to pay for it. I am so sick of our government wasting our money. And it is our money. It's not their money. It's ours. We earned it. We built it. And they steal it from us. Now, do they misuse all of it? No, they don't. But they misuse enough. They misuse more than enough to make up the difference in what they still think they need to steal from us on trivial crap like this. And I know going back over the last, 4 or 5 shows now we've done since we kicked this thing off, I go through some waste watch type stuff, and we've rung some numbers out. And just in 4 or 5 episodes of the show, we've gone into the billions and billions of dollars of waste. Granted, in that picture, this is a drop in the bucket. But how many people, when does it end? Where does it end? What's next for the military? I mean, why don't we just take down the American flag and start flying a rainbow flag? It's ridiculous. I don't even know what these people are thinking. The commandant of Fort Leavenworth Disciplinary Barracks in Kansas wrote this. After carefully considering the recommendation that hormone treatment is medically appropriate and necessary, and weighing all associated safety and security risks presented, I approve adding hormone treatment to inmate Manning's treatment plan. That's from Commandant Colonel Erica Nelson, Fort Leavenworth Disciplinary Barracks, Kansas. Manning is serving a 35-year prison sentence and should be eligible for parole in about 7 years. The media just fawns over this, and they absolutely refer to Manning as her or she. There is no more Bradley Manning. It is Chelsea Manning throughout all the write-ups. So Manning actually sued the federal government for access to this treatment. The Army has referred questions about Manning to the DOJ, which has been handling the case. And the DOJ is declining to give the government's position in these court filings. I guess somebody could file a Freedom of Information Act and find out exactly what their position is. But I would say that right now it's pretty darn obvious. Air Force Secretary Deborah Lee James told USA the ban on transgender troops is likely to be reassessed and should be lifted. Does being transgender make anybody more or less of a soldier or even a person? No, I don't think so. Again, it comes down to who's responsible for it and why are taxpayers having to pay for it. This is not a medical necessity. And anyway, that's enough of Grouchy's grumblings right off the bat tonight. Let's get back to the tip sheet for tonight, and we're going to go right to the top of the list with President Obama and his amnesty policy, or what I like to call crimmigration, which is a jumble of criminal and immigration. You get the drift. But Homeland Security has been ordered to set up hotlines for illegal immigrants who believe that their rights under President Obama's amnesty policy have been violated. A memo announcing the customer complaint line was issued, and U.S. Customs and Border Protection asked illegal immigrants to, quote, please tell us about your experience if they believe they were treated, quote, contrary to the new DHS enforcement policies. The department alerted, you'll love this, stakeholders last week of 3 complaint hotlines one for Customs and Border Protection, which oversees Border Patrol, one for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which handles immigration laws and the nation's interior, and one for U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, which is poised to handle the millions of amnesty applications expected to be filed. This, what I believe, unconstitutional amnesty policy grants tentative legal status to up to 4 million illegal immigrants and orders Border Patrol agents and Immigrations and Customs Enforcement agents not to arrest other illegal immigrants who say they have been hiding in the U.S. for years but don't meet the criteria for full amnesty. Now, when I started putting this together, I had to stop at this point, so we are too. And I've already pulled out handfuls of hair, but we're going to discuss this a little further right at this point. We're going to stop and go a little deeper into what I just read you. So right off the bat, the President of the United States, Barack Obama, the man who swore an oath to, and I quote, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, is in violation of this promise. A promise that must, I say must, be made in order to assume the office of President of the United States. This oath comes directly from Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution, and he is violating it. And we're going to go a little deeper into it. The 14th Amendment of the Constitution, which for us history buffs was ratified July 9th, 1868, deals with citizenship and immigration. And it states, quote, that the Congress shall have power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. Nowhere does it state that the President of the United States can change, amend, or modify the conditions of citizenship or immigration as laid out in the 14th Amendment. This same article states, and I have to paraphrase this because the language is verbose at best, no person shall hold any public office in government, federal or state, that has engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same. Well, let me ask you, folks, isn't insurrection and rebellion exactly what Obama is doing by choosing not to enforce the established laws of the land, as he calls it? The men and women of Homeland Security, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, and Border Patrol put their lives on the line every single damn day they suit up. And Obama is flaunting his ability due to the weakness of Congress. This is not 100% Obama's fault. Congress has let us down on this. But he flaunts his ability due to the weakness of Congress to pick and choose which laws and parts of the Constitution he wants to enforce or follow. And quite frankly, it pisses me off. And I'm not just mad at him, I'm mad at Congress too. They have the power to stop him, and they're letting him do it. What the hell did we vote on in November? And why the hell aren't they enacting it? Now, the Border Patrol agents said the complaint lines amount to a slap in the face as they go out there every day and put it all on the line to enforce the laws of the land. Instead of supporting our agents, this administration has decided it's more important to find new ways to solicit complaints and invite ridicule against these men and women. Sean Moran, vice president of the National Border Patrol Council, the labor union that represents these line agents, said, quote, We demand that this administration spend more time defending the men and women defending our nation and less time promoting the extreme agendas of pro-illegal immigration organizations. Boom. You know, I'm not a union fan, but Mr. Moran, thank you for saying that, because it needed to be said. He also said he would like the Homeland Security Department to, not Moran, Obama also said that he would like Homeland Security to set up a complaint line so that people could register their concerns and agents could register their concerns also over the administration's failure to enforce laws involving their own pay, the disparity in firepower they bring to the fight with drug cartels, and the administration's failure to fully enforce our immigration laws. By God, I can't wait to get my hands on this phone number. Wait till I dig that out. Now get this part. Okay, you're going to like this. Meanwhile, immigrant rights advocates, also known as the people who support our country being overrun with illegal immigrants regardless of where they come from and what their intentions are, they're torn over whether complaints prove effective. Some say they're useful, but others say they rarely produce results, and they question the department's ability to investigate complaints against itself. Well, isn't that special? So let's get this right. They think that people that violate our laws, come here illegally, and then get arrested for doing that should not only have the right to complain about it, but they think there needs to be stronger advocacy for them so that they're not sent home, which they're not going to be, because that's what this whole amnesty program is all about. The Homeland Security Department and Customs and Border Patrol issued memos detailing the customer complaint lines last week. Customs and Border Patrol notice included this invitation. You're going to love this. If you believe that you or a family member were apprehended and processed by a Customs and Border Protection officer or Border Patrol agent contrary to the new DHS enforcement priorities, please tell us about your experience by contacting the Customs and Border Patrol Information Center. Are you freaking kidding me? Homeland Security's memo just basically listed all three complaint lines, and they say that they expect more questions and feedback from the amnesty. What, how vague could Jay Johnson be? He's clueless. You talk about being promoted 3 levels above his competency level. He shouldn't even be mopping the floors at Homeland Security. The Obama administration, in the meantime, is trying to walk a very tight line, which means they're lying their ass off by saying it's boosting enforcement, even as the president and his political appointees at Homeland Security have carved out an ever-widening circle of illegal immigrants for protection in order to appease their advocates and donors. Oh yes, folks, this is heavily political. In the past 2 years, Mr. Obama has tilted more and more towards the advocate's position, cutting deportations by 20% from 2012 to 2014. Guess what? They're down another 20% already from 14 into 15. The trend is continuing. And this is while the illegal crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border have increased exponentially. In November, Obama announced an amnesty for illegal immigrant parents whose children are American citizens. These are anchor babies, boys and girls, or legal permanent residents, granting them legal status for 3 years and work permits, entitling them to compete for jobs. He also expanded a 2012 amnesty for illegal immigrants who came to the United States as children. How sweet of him. These are the quote-unquote dreamers, like the one that stood up in front of Congress a few years ago and put her poster boards on display and had the Democrats fawning over her and vouching for her, who's now been a known supporter of terrorist organizations. Good job, guys. But here's the bigger picture, and we're not going to beat around the bush on this crap either. Obama is offering these people legal status to allow them to compete for jobs. So is the White House line. But the reality is that this is nothing more than a sliver of Cloward Piven. Now stay with me and I will connect the dots. Everybody by now knows what the Cloward Piven strategy is. And this is a strategy to break America's financial infrastructure. In quote-unquote legalizing these people to compete for jobs and to work in the United States, he is also giving these people access to benefits such as unemployment, disability, food stamps, on and on and on. This is nothing more than a move to strain America's finances even further. And in case you missed my post a little earlier this week, spending, regardless of what Obama says in the federal government, is up 8% already this year over where we were this point last year. And this is after Obama's telling everybody how he's cut spending. Now, the mainstream media, on the rare occasion that it actually mentions the number of illegal aliens living in the United States, categorically quotes the official government figure of 8 to 12 million. 8 to 12 million. Let me tell you, folks, they're lying to us. They are lying to every single one of us. Follow me here. This number originated with the Department of Homeland Security, which in December of 2003 estimated between 8 and 12 million illegal aliens resided in the United States. Does that sound familiar? 8 to 12 million. This is the number that Obama is still quoting. This is 12 years later. In this same report in 2003, Homeland Security said that the United States sees 700,000 new illegals enter the country each year and remain. As of 2014, the estimates have not changed for 11 years, going on 12 years now. And even though the official annual increase alone would yield a corrected estimate of 15.8 to 19.8 million illegal aliens today, and this is not adjusting for the surge we saw starting last year, I would venture to say we're well over 20 million. Now, it's more than obvious that a huge number of illegals are going to be entering our country, and they're going to avoid capture because Obama has basically outlawed capturing them. The media, as well as government agencies, are quite content to underreport the numbers, and the static official estimates are a bit suspect, as you can imagine, as they're produced by the very people that are responsible for this freaking tidal wave of illegal aliens coming to our country and sucking our financial infrastructure dry. The United States government is responsible for this, and it's happening under Republicans and under Democrats, but really, really the surge under the years of Obama's tenure. Unmitigated in its, what were the words in the Constitution? Insurrection and rebellion against the law. Obama has also had top officials at Homeland Security issue guidance ordering agents to generally ignore illegal immigrants who have hidden in the U.S. for some time or who claim other extenuating circumstances. The guidance indicates that agents should not bother pursuing illegal immigrants who don't have serious criminal records or aren't recent illegal immigrants. Okay, we got to stop there again too now. I'm wondering what the White House considers to be a serious criminal record, considering that they've turned thousands of murderers and rapists loose on American citizens. Time and again, we see the stories in the news about how an illegal who was formerly in prison and was freed by the Obama administration's new rules killed somebody, raped somebody, beat the hell out of somebody, robbed a store. You name it, they're doing it all. Mr. Moran, the VP of the Border Patrol Union, testifying to a Senate committee last week, said agents now have to go through a checklist when they encounter illegal immigrants, and those who give the right answers are supposed to be released. How long do you think it's going to take before they find out what's on this checklist and learn what the appropriate answers are? The messaging on the training from Border Patrol has been inconsistent at best. Ron Johnson, senator from Wisconsin and chairman of Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, said it sounded as though immigrants only had to say, quote, magic words to avoid arrest. Senator Johnson, you people have the power to stop this. During the border surge this past summer, Mr. Moran said agents discovered that some of the illegal crossers had written scripts with them to coach them on what to say to be released when they were captured. By God, it's happened already. They already know what to say, and they're writing it down and handing it out. A Homeland Security spokeswoman said the hotline memo was intended to make stakeholders know where to go for information. The quote was, "This provides one place for all stakeholders." That's what they're calling illegals now, stakeholders. It just gets worse by the minute. You have to laugh or you're going to cry and pull your own hair out. This provides one place for all stakeholders to find out where the new DHS guidelines, deferred action, eligibility for new initiatives, or to register comments or complaints, said Jeanette Magana. DHS continuously engages with stakeholders, members of Congress, and interested individuals to provide the most up-to-date information and answer questions about any new initiatives. But the memos go further. The page providing the complaint hotline for Customs and Border Protection, which oversees the Border Patrol, specifically invites complaints from immigrants who believe agents did not follow Mr. Obama's priorities. Oh, all these toll-free numbers that I don't have yet, but I will. And I promise you, I'm going to find out if DHS does continuously engage with interested individuals, as this Miss Magana said, because I'm about to become one of these very interested individuals, and I will be contacting DHS. Border Patrol procedures who wish to register a complaint about an encounter with Border Patrol they believe what has happened is contrary to the guidance the department says on the CBP page, blah, blah, blah. I'm losing my place. CBP page says it has only limited assistance available in Spanish for those calling to complain, but the complaint hotline for Immigrations and Customs Enforcement specifically states that it can handle calls in both English and Spanish. Homeland Security has had complaint lines for some time, and Mr. Obama picked a fight with Congress over an advocacy office in ICE several years ago. This is the bravado part where they try to make Obama sound like he's really fighting to keep these illegals out of here. Congress did cancel funding for the job, so Mr. Obama changed the title but kept the same person doing the same work and argued that he met the letter of the law. Folks, we're at the bottom of the hour, but before we take a break, the phone number here is 408-681-8255. That's 408-681-8255. Please feel free to call in on this topic or anything else. When we come back from the break, we're going to press on. But like I said, your calls are what makes the show go round, and we will take your calls and talk about any topic that you want. Stay tuned. Back in a few.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America?
If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
The feeling most people get when they hear a Barack Obama speech, I felt this thrill going up my leg. I mean, I don't have that too often.
Steady.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. Ricky Robinson, host of America Off the Rails, will tackle the Tune into The Family Factor with Denny C. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at 5 a.m. as he looks at all the challenges facing the family today. Denny will give you a refreshingly new look at tackling some of the biggest issues. So start your day off on the right foot with Denny C. and The Family Factor, right here on K98Talk.com.
This is Misty, owner of Wax It Studio in Edmond, Oklahoma, and I'm here to talk to you about a skincare product called Theramedics. Theramedics has a wonderful line of products from anti-aging to hyperpigmentations all the way to acne. In fact, everyone at some point in our life is affected by acne. Acne can cause a great deal of embarrassment and anxiety, and in order to prevent and help other people, I have tapped into this wonderful product called Theramedics. Visit my website at www.prettyskindeep.com. Again, that's www.prettyskindeep.com.
Okay.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
Welcome back, folks. Glad to have you here. It's Thursday night, and I'm still pissed. But that's okay. because we'll get through it together. We just got done talking about crimmigration and border protection, and our phone number here is 408-681-8255. That's 408-681-8255. One of the other things I really wanted to get in tonight was what I call the deadly legacy of Susan Rice in D.C. And to that end, we've got to get through a couple stories in which she is involved, so we're going to move a little bit faster. I didn't think I was going to use half the show on immigration, but oh well, it happened. So speaking at the Brookings Institution in Washington, D.C. on Friday, White House National Security Advisor Susan Rice described the terrorist threat from radical Islam as, quote unquote, violent extremism. Obama's words. She used the same ones. And she went on to say that as part of President Obama's national security strategy, we are going to be fighting the very real threat of climate change and promoting gay rights, because these are the national security strategies that America has to have to be secure. Rice's remarks followed the release on Friday of Obama's 2015 National Security Strategy, which updates a similar document released by the White House in 2010. While saying the radical Islamic group ISIS, because he doesn't like to call them ISIS, he likes to call them ISIL, is an offshoot of Al-Qaeda, and that the United States is committed to, quote, countering the corrosive ideology of violent extremism. Rice called for a sense of perspective when assessing that threat. Too often what's missing here in Washington is a sense of perspective, Rice said. Yes, there is a lot going on. Still, while the dangers we face may be more numerous and varied, they are not of existential nature. What? Oh, I'm sorry. They are not of the existential nature we confronted during World War II or during the Cold War. So she is downplaying radical Islam, saying that it's nothing like what we saw in World War II or the Cold War. What the hell does this lady smoke? And does she share? Rice said we can't afford to be buffeted by alarmism in a nearly instantaneous news cycle. In her remarks, she listed other threats to U.S. security, including the aforementioned climate change and the necessity of promoting equality for homosexuals. I don't know anybody that's out there actively saying that homosexuals don't deserve rights in America. But if you are out there and doing that, stop. You're idiots. They're American citizens. They're entitled to the same rights you and I are, with one exception. They don't get to redefine the word marriage. And the government shouldn't be in the marriage business. But that's a whole different topic for a whole different time. We're moving on here. American leadership is addressing the very real threat. Blah, blah, blah. The science is clear. Everybody remembers Obama saying that. Rice sounds like an echo chamber with breasts. That's about it. The impacts of climate change will only worsen over time, said Rice. Even longer droughts, more severe storms, more forced migration. So we're making smart decisions today that will pay off for generations. Again, this lady is out of her freaking mind. And we're gonna stop there for a second, and we're going to plod forward. Is she part of this one? Yeah, she is. Okay, so hold the thought of Susan Rice. We're going to touch on Iran's nukes here real quick, and she's a part of this story too, and this is all going to snowball into a much bigger effect coming up. So more than 2 weeks after saying during his State of the Union address that an interim agreement with Iran had halted, this is a quote, halted the progress of Iran's nuclear program, a claim since disputed, President Obama repeated the assertion in his National Security Strategy Report released on Friday. We're currently testing whether it's possible to achieve a comprehensive resolution to assure the international community that Iran's nuclear program is peaceful, while the Joint Plan of Action has halted the progress of Iran's program, Obama wrote in the introductory letter. The report repeats the claim on 2 other occasions, referring in one instance to a diplomatic effort that has already stopped the progress of Iran's nuke program, and elsewhere a first step arrangement that stops the progress of their nuclear program. The Joint Plan of Action is the interim agreement that Iran reached with the U.S. and 5 other countries in November of 2013. We already know that since that point, Iran has not been stopped. They haven't even slowed down. They've expanded operations. They've built new nuclear reactors. They're building nuclear missile facilities in Syria and in southern Iraq. This administration is nothing but a fountain of lies and male bovine excrement. In his State of the Union address, Obama said our diplomacy is at work with respect to Iran, where for the first time in a decade we've halted the progress, blah, blah, blah. Washington Post fact-checker column examined Obama's State of the Union claim and determined that it earned him 3 Pinocchios on their scale of 1 to 4. So that means that other than the ands, ifs, buts, these, ors, and ifs, Obama was lying. I get it. He claims that this program has been halted over and over, and Post columnist Glenn Kessler, citing non-proliferation experts, said that the amount of nuclear materials in Iran's possession that could easily be converted for bomb making had in fact continued to increase over the 2013-2014 period. Iran did convert or dilute its stockpile of 20% enriched uranium from uranium hexafluoride form to another chemical form of uranium oxide. Yeah, thank you, telephone, for letting me know you're dying. I'm going to shut that off so it doesn't interrupt us anymore. But at the same time, they continued to produce uranium enriched to below 5%. Conversion from hexafluoride to oxide form could easily be reversed, moving Iran closer to a bomb. Instead, his State of the Union address claimed again that he stopped it, blah, 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 blah. But instead, he chose to make sweeping claims for which there is little basis. Thus, he earns the 3 Pinocchios. And hours after the White House released the letter on Friday, National Security Advisor Susan Rice did what she does best. She went to the Brookings Institution and repeated lies, just like she did when she made the rounds on the Sunday morning talk shows, blaming the attack in Benghazi on a damn video on YouTube. Now, we dig a little deeper into Susan Rice. And doing some research, boy, did I find some good stuff, and I wish I had more time to go into it. But, she was a member of the Clinton administration. And when she and hers had bin Laden's head on a platter, she and hers decided not to act. They could have ended the threat of bin Laden years ago. According to Mansour Ijaz, a former troubleshooter for the Clinton administration, the FBI had their efforts to capture bin Laden quote, overruled every single time by Susan Rice and her State Department cronies who were hell-bent on destroying the Sudan, end quote. In a Washington Post op-ed published in 2002, both Ijaz and Tom Carney, then the U.S. ambassador to Sudan, blamed Susan Rice specifically for being a major obstacle to accepting offers of help from Sudan to share their intelligence on bin Laden's terror network. Rice was also influential in the Clinton administration's remaining uninvolved in the Rwandan genocide that took place there in 1994. According to a 2004 report published in Newsmax, they say Rice probably deserves a hefty portion of the blame for the fact that Osama bin Laden wasn't neutralized during the 90s. The FBI in 96 and 97 had their efforts to look at terrorism data and deal with the bin Laden issue overruled by Rice and her State Department cronies again. Wow. According to Richard Mentier, who wrote the book Losing Bin Laden, Rice played a key role in scuttling the deal that would have prevented the 9/11 attacks on New York and Washington, and what would have been another in Washington had it not been for those brave people on that plane that took it down in Pennsylvania. Rice was a member of Clinton's National Security Council and questioned Khartoum's credibility in Sudan. Rice cited the suffering Christians in Sudan as one reason that she doubted the integrity of the Sudanese offers, said Mentier. But her analysis largely overlooked the view of U.S. Ambassador to Sudan, Tim Carney, who argued for calling Khartoum's bluff. Mentier said that Carney argued the Clinton White House should accept the offer of the intelligence on bin Laden and see if the National Islamic Front actually hands him over. If Sudan complied, we would have taken a major terrorist off the streets. If they didn't, the civilized world would see that, and once again, Sudan's critics would be proven right. Either way, we weren't out much, but we could have been up a whole lot. In that same 2002 WAPO op-ed piece, it was said that Sudan's policy shift sparked a debate at the State Department where Foreign Service officers believed the United States should re-engage Khartoum. By the end of summer in 97, they persuaded incoming Secretary of State Madeleine Albright to at least some diplomatic staff to return to Sudan to press for a resolution of the civil war and pursue offers to cooperate on terrorism. A formal announcement was made in late September, but two individuals disagreed. National Security Council terrorism specialist Richard Clarke and National Security Council Africa specialist Susan Rice, who was about to become Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, persuaded Sandy Berger, then the National Security Advisor, to overrule Albright. The new policy was reversed after 2 days. Mr. Producer, we got anything cooking on your end? Because I'm hearing things, but I don't know what I'm hearing.
It's not anything on my end. I'm muted.
Nothing on your end. Okay, good. We're pressing on then. Overturning a months-long interagency process undermined U.S. counterterrorism efforts. In a final attempt to find a way of cooperating with U.S. authorities, Sudan's intelligence chief repeated the unconditional offer to share terrorism data with the FBI in a February 1998 letter addressed directly to Middle East and North Africa specialist in charge David Williams. But the White House and Susan Rice objected. On June 24, 1998, Williams wrote to Mahdi saying that he was not in a position to, quote, accept your kind offer. A kind offer. They were going to put Obama, or not Obama, really, there's not, well, there is a difference, but how great is debatable. But they were going to put bin Laden on a silver platter for the United States. Can you imagine if we had taken bin Laden out in 97, 96, when all this was going on, or even in 98 when they tried again? Even if one wants to give Susan Rice a pass on the Benghazi talking points, believing that she didn't know that she was lying, the ambassador's torpedoing of America's counterterrorism operation under Bill Clinton should have been more than enough to prevent her from being named National Security Advisor. But it wasn't enough. And it wasn't enough because this position does not need to be confirmed by the Senate. And this administration is too arrogant to give a damn what anybody on the outside of their inner circle thinks. Susan Rice may not be solely responsible, but I hope that the souls of the thousands of people that bin Laden's plans killed haunt you, woman, because you deserve at least that. Okay, I'm going to back up a second here. Let me get back up to, where the heck was I? Yeah. On the lighter side of things, as we approach back around towards the top of the hour, National Democratic Committee Chairperson Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who looks like she smells like a wet beagle wrapped in olive loaf, was spotted in the background on the red carpet show leading up to the Grammys Sunday night. She was joined by Democratic Representative Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas. And I am so sure that these fine ladies burdened themselves with attending the Grammys so that they could talk to all those multimillionaires and billionaires about income inequality and sharing all of their money with average Americans, right? I mean, I have no doubt that's what they were there for. Yeah, right. Come on, chuckle with me because you know it's all crap. Okay, well, that's enough of them. We're gonna push on. Last week, Obama at the National Prayer Breakfast. This has been rehashed so many times in the mainstream media that I don't want to spend a ton of time on it because I know we've all heard it. What a jackass he made of himself, comparing middle-aged Christianity to modern-day radical Islam. Apparently, the president doesn't grasp that the Crusades were launched in response to Muslim invasions of Christian and Jewish holy lands. And until this man, which will never happen, grasps the concept of the fact that Islam is, will be, and always has been a brutal and vicious death cult, nothing is going to change. So we're just going to breeze over that. But yeah, for the record, Obama did meet with a group of Muslims at the White House last Wednesday, but his guests have not been named publicly. A reporter asked White House spokesman Josh Earnest about the meeting before it happened on Wednesday, and Earnest said, quote, "Well, I can tell you that the president is looking forward to the meeting that he'll do a little later this afternoon," end quote, said Earnest. It's not unusual for the president to meet with leaders of a wide variety of communities from across the country. Sometimes that includes religious leaders like his extreme imam friends. What the president's hoping to do is have a broader conversation about the wide range of issues that are of importance to the Muslim American community. Certainly, I would expect a robust discussion and a lot of the kind of middle-class economics. This is a term that Obama is trying to really push out there as one of his legacy builders, middle-class economics. Mr. Obama have failed miserably. I am middle-class America, and let me tell you, your economic plan sucks. But again, Ernest went on to say, certainly I would expect a robust discussion of a lot of the kind of middle-class economics that the president's been discussing in the State of the Union and in the context, the rollout of his budget. Oh my God. I would anticipate that, that there will be an opportunity for the president to talk about some other things. I'm confident he'll remind them of the upcoming deadline for the Affordable Care Act, which, by the way, folks, don't enroll. There are better alternatives out there. Do your homework. Don't get sucked in. If you don't remember the Christmas surprise, hit me up on Twitter. I will tell you about it. I'm at TCC_Grouchy. You know that already, though. Stay away from healthcare.gov. And folks, because I took up so much time, we really don't have time for a word of the week this week, so we're going to skip it. And I don't have any specific waste watch, but I think we kind of covered that in the Bradley Manning story. Bradley/Chelsea Manning, the chick with an Adam's apple, I don't know, with outdoor plumbing. I don't even know how to address this, so screw it. I don't care. I'm politically incorrect anyway. I'm just going to play along with that card, and I don't really care who likes it or doesn't like it. But as we get to the top of the hour here, it's about time to wrap things up, and I'm going to get some dinner and tune in to my friend Polita Bunny on her show, Unapologetically Bunny. You know her already, so don't ask me. Just get your butt over there and get logged in, and I hope to see you there, and I also hope to see you back here next Thursday night for another fact-filled, hard-punching, no crap taken episode of the Conservative Curmudgeon Show. Good night and God bless you.
Oh, but ain't that America for you and me? Ain't that America? Something to see, baby.